Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here today. I know you've heard a lot about what we're doing in Google Cloud on the sales side, on the product side, and some about our go-to-market channels. I'm really excited to talk to you today about what we've been doing and what we're in the process of really building in our Tech Partners organization. This organization came together just a few months ago to really focus on our Tech Partners ecosystem, and by that we mean independent software vendors and also our top strategic partners. We've been scaling this operation. In fact, it's as Diane mentioned earlier, sometimes the rate of the scaling is kind of dizzying, but I want you to understand what our philosophy for that, and so hopefully we can partner with you and many of your customers about how we take this ecosystem forward. So when we first started thinking about what it means to partner, we started thinking about our principles. And I want to run you through those, but then I want to tell you how we operationalize them and how I think that's really quite different and how it's going to make an even bigger difference in what we build together. First of all, we want to be the open platform and the open partner. And you've heard that a lot from Brian Stevens this morning about how open we are with respect to things like open source. But in this case, the openness extends even further than that. And I'll talk about a couple of examples where that openness really changes the way our partnering is put together. We also want to bring more innovation than just Google could bring by itself. And that's really one of the tenets that Diane laid out early on about our partnering, is that we really want to have a much bigger innovation story than any one company, even a company of Google's size, could build. And building that with our partners is something that really excites our engineers, and particularly as we take it into new applications and new markets. Fairness and transparency are really core tenets of Google, and that fairness and transparency, when extended to partners, I think gives us a real strong competitive advantage in that people want to partner with Google because we're going to be fair and transparent and bring innovation to a bigger market. And all of that results in a shared success. And Diane has said it very often that our success is really our partners' success. If our partners are not successful, then it's really just academic what we're doing. And so we've really been focusing a lot on not just the technical and the integration parts of how we work with our partners, but what are the business models? How do we make sure that they're successful? How do we split that value that we create in the world in a fair and appropriate way so that we can sustain more and more of this? So just to take, some of this I know seems kind of uncontroversial, like, who would vote against these things, but when we really start to operationalize it, some really cool things happen. Like we look very early on at some of the thinking that, very typical stuff that goes on with, let's say we've got a new idea out there in the world. Should I build or should I partner? And that build or partner, can really be a kind of long and painful thought. Like, should I don't know, maybe I should build, maybe I should partner. And what we decided was this is really the wrong way to think about it. If you're really the open partner and the open platform, you should do both. Or you should be open to doing both, that we should build and partner. And that's been a really liberating concept for us, not just in terms of what we're able to do with partners, but also our internal product teams. They understand they don't have to build every single feature everybody thought of. We can wind up doing things where we cover much more of the innovation and market space by doing both. So recently we've had two really exciting examples of that. Both you've heard some this morning about from Evernote, and also a deal we just did with Box. These are very clear examples of this strategy where Google has products in each of these spaces, but there's a very big world out there and a huge number of customers who prefer Box and who prefer Evernote for their needs. And when we partner together, we create a much bigger ecosystem. And so each of them has been using different points of what Google has to offer in terms of products and technology, from G Suite to cloud to Springboard Search and Assist, and also all of our machine learning techniques. And so, if you think about this model for how even though Google may now or may in the future have a product in a certain space, it's still a wide open field for how we can innovate together. Just as exciting for that is how not just the things in Google Cloud that we bring, but if you think about the entire portfolio of what Google has to offer in products and technologies, one of the best things that I've found in the sort of 3 short months we've been doing this new organization for Tech Partners has been that our friends in other parts of Google, like in AdWords and Analytics and Play and YouTube, they are super excited about us being able to partner with other companies to really bring what is the power of one Google to those markets, and really to innovate in not just technology, but in the way the business is put together, to transform industries. And that's something that, my organization is just on fire with how exciting it is to be able to work on these things with our partners. I'm blessed with a great number of members of my team who are both engineers and MBAs and business people and BD folks, and just putting that all together in a way that basically moves the needle forward, certainly for us and for our partners. It's just been tremendously exciting. We look at different ISVs by a bunch of different sectors, and so there's all kinds of ways to interengage with Google about, our organization, about how you go about partnering. And so we have experts in each of these areas for, if you're in data and analytics in the cloud, or if you're in visualization, we have a lot of different programs for each of those. And so it's been a really exciting time to put that together and start to really take that out to market. And you're starting to see deals that we're announcing, and of course we're working on a lot more. The other thing that we're doing is we're investing in the infrastructure for our partners. And the acquisition that we did recently of Bottari, which is an e-commerce cloud platform, multi-cloud backend. They provide really nice test drives and one of the more elegant billing systems that I've seen, certainly on the cloud platforms, for being able to handle all the major public clouds. I mean, the Bottari platform allows our ISVs to plug into that, and then really simplifies their ability to deploy and have their customers use, any of the clouds. And this is something that, we want to lower that friction for our partners so that they can get, especially the ISVs, can get to market faster and be able to deliver, their services and grow their businesses better. The other thing you heard earlier today was the acquisition of Apogee. One of the things that I really enjoy about thinking through how this is going to affect our partners is that, if you use one of Apogee's, I think, really illustrative examples of one of their customers, Walgreens, you can see how, this kind of framework can help us move partnering and the integration of applications forward much faster. This example shows Walgreens that may have started with the idea of, oh, hey, look, I can do a photo prints API. Wouldn't that be great? Because now we can just print photos, with an API call. And over time, they grew to say, well, not only do I need to print photos and be able to do just that with an API, what about my prescriptions? I can have folks be able to refill their prescriptions with an API, and I can do my rewards program that way. And before you know it, especially when they announce this to the outside world, all of a sudden you have, Imager and Instagram trying to print photos, and you have WebMD hooked up to their prescriptions APIs. And that framework for being able to integrate now hundreds of APIs quickly and securely and be able to make sure that there's not any kind of falling over as you try to scale is what I think allows us to have a framework that our partners can really build some exciting applications, in a way that really gets them to market quickly and allows us to put things together that might have been too hard to do in other ways. So I'm very excited about both of these acquisitions because they allow our partners to be a lot more successful quicker, and that's the thing that we want to use going forward as we try to build even deeper tech partnerships. So the message of the story today is that we've really been taking a different view to partnering, certainly than Google's had available in and around cloud. We took several groups and put them together in terms of groups that were already doing some partnering, gave them a much bigger scope, a much bigger mission, and tripled the size of the group. And we are really on fire with how well we want to go about doing things that really make a difference. And so, if you think about partnering with Google, particularly on the tech partnering side, I can tell you for sure, now is the time that you should really be doing that investigation with us, because it just seems like there's so many things to be going at here in terms of really bringing innovation to our customers and really transforming industries. So, we are open for business, and we would certainly love to talk to folks about how to do more tech partnering. Thank you for your attention.